Hi, it's Nell, and today's video is all about Pothos Neon Care, so stick around for that. So if you like videos about gardening, both indoors and outdoors, be sure to hit subscribe because I upload videos here on a regular basis, and there are a lot for you to choose from in the archives. Also, I've been much more active on my Instagram account. That's also JoyUsgarden, so please check that out too. Oh my goodness, be still my beating heart. If you know me, I love chartreuse foliage. I've done a blog on chartreuse plants to brighten up your garden. I'll leave that link down below. But this color is a color that you oftentimes don't find in houseplants, so that's why it's so wonderful to have this in your houseplant collection. Now, I have done a post and a video on Pothos Care, general Pothos Care, but I wanted to do one specifically on this one because there's one thing to know about this plant that is important if you want to grow it successfully and keep this gorgeous color. So here are some plants in the Araceae family. There are some really common ones. In the back, behind the neon pothos, you see a bit of orange. That's my philodendron, Prince of Orange, and the philodendrons are Araceae, and there's the African mask plant. Coming down below that on the right is the Aglaonema red Siam. And then on the floor is the Monstera deliciosa, which I'm about to repot. I'm going to do that this afternoon. So these are some common plants along with like the peace lily, anthuriums, all the other aglaonemas. There's so many plants in this, family that I'm sure I'm forgetting quite a few of them, but these are some that I just brought out to show you. I'm going to run through these points pretty quickly. There will be more details in the blog post. I always do a long blog post to go along with every video. So if you are really truly interested in this plant, be sure to check out the post. The link will be in the first line or two of the description box down below, and also on my website, JoyUsgarden.com. So the first thing is size. This pothos gets on the average about 6 feet long. And you can find it in 4-inch pots, 6-inch pots, 8-inch pots. I've only seen it a couple times in 10-inch pots, a really big hanging plant, but it is that is the general size. Mine is just starting to trail here, as you can see. Growth rate. The growth rate on this is moderate. It's not a really fast grower, but it's not a slow grower either. And how is this plant used? It is used as a hanging plant. You can either hang it from the ceiling or have it as a trailing plant on a bookcase, a shelf, something up higher, so it can display these lovely long trails. Oh, I almost forgot a common use for pothos, for this pothos too, that is in dish gardens and in living walls. And the big draw of this plant is obviously the foliage. There are many different pothos varieties, many different leaf sizes, colors, variegations, but this one, it just says, look at me. So here you can see this gorgeous foliage. This has a little bit of green on it, but it's really dense in here, and these leaves unfolding are very, very light. There are a lot of them, whereas these are a little bit darker. Underneath there, it's a little bit more shaded, so you get all this beautiful chartreusey new growth. Exposure. This is where this plant does vary from the other pothos or some of the other pothos, is that it does need a good moderate to high light exposure, maybe medium to high light, if you want to call it medium, moderate, to really bring out this color and keep the color. If you have it in lower light, it will revert to a darker, much darker green. So have it in light to bring out this gorgeous color, and the new growth tends to be more intensely chartreuse than the older growth, but it really is a nice bright plant. And in terms of a higher light situation, it will take it. It just needs to be about 10 feet away from a really hot, sunny window because it will burn in hot sun. Water. It's the same as the other pothos. It doesn't like to be too wet. It doesn't like to be too dry. I let it go almost completely dry before I water it again. But because I have it in higher light than I do my other pothos, I tend to water this one a little bit more often. I am in Tucson, Arizona, where it's warm, so on the average in the summertime, I water this one, which is in a 6-inch pot. I water it about every 7 days, whereas in the winter, it's about every 14 days. And I've done a guide on watering indoor plants, things for you to think about how often you water your plants. So I will leave that link down below, and it'll also be in the blog post. In terms of temperature, average home temperatures, just fine. As I say, if your house is comfortable for you, it'll be for your plants. I tend to keep my house a little on the warmer side. I don't have the air conditioning cranked down way low in the summertime, so my plants tend to grow fairly fast. Humidity. Average home humidity is fine too. It seems to be able to handle the dry air in our homes. You might see little tiny brown tips, small ones. If they're larger brown tips, it's a watering issue, but if it's just small ones, it's a reaction to the dry air. Fertilizing. This plant is not really fussy when it comes to fertilizer. Once or twice a year at the most is good, with a general all-purpose houseplant fertilizer, preferably organic. And you would want to fertilize in the spring and then again in the midsummer time. And I worm compost and compost all my houseplants with a very slight layer. I've also done a post and a video on this, which you'll find in this post. So that's how I feed my plants, and I've started to use Eleanor VF11 once or twice or 3 times a year on my plants, depending on the plant. So I will probably hit my pothos with that twice a year. And in terms of pruning, you would just prune it to control the growth, or if you were going to take cuttings of this gorgeous plant. And speaking of cuttings and propagation, it's really easy to do by stem cuttings. All right, we'll get close here so I can show you. These brown protrusions up and down the stem, these are the emerging roots. And so the plant practically propagates itself. So you would just cut about right there. You cut a little bit closer to the next node, give it a bit of stem, and that's how you take a stem cutting. Easy as can be. And let's see, I am going to do a separate post and video on how to propagate pothos, so keep your eye open for that. Soil and repotting. I've done a separate post and video on that, so I will share that in the post and also down below. Also, safe for pets. This is in the Araceae family. It is an arum, and there are many other house plants in this family, which I'm going to show you soon, but they are toxic to cats and dogs. I get my information from the ASPCA, and I will leave the link to that in the post so you can see exactly what it does, and then you can use your own judgment. And I just wanted to show you real quick the flower of a pomegranate. And this is the Sonoran white pomegranate. So that is it. Those are the highlights in regards to care. It's really very easy to care for like the other pothos, but it does have that snazzy foliage. And be sure and check the blog post that goes along with this video. As I said at the beginning, the link to it will be right down in the description box waiting for you. So I hope you have found this video about neon pothos care to be helpful. I have a lot more videos coming your way, so stay tuned for those. As I said, I'm sort of on a repotting spree. I have a lot to do. And what am I doing next? Oh, I'm going to prune my desert rose. I'm going to prune my adenium. But I thank you for all your likes and your subscribes. I really appreciate them. Now let's get out in our gardens or into our indoor gardens and make our worlds a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.